Text 20. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidyanadi ubhavapi vikaranshcha gunanshchaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan.
Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. The transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature.
I'm just going to, sorry, 1 minute. I'm just going to mute everybody. So only the two speakers can unmute themselves because there is a lot of background noise. If the two speakers can unmute themselves and start, please. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Text 21. कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुखदुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते.
Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world.
Text 22. पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्त्वे प्रकृतिजानगुणान् कारणं गुणसङ्गोऽस्य सदसद्योनि जन्मसि.
The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus he meets good and evil among various species.
Text 23. उपद्रष्टानुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरः परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तो देहेऽस्मिन् पुरुषः परः.
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the supersoul.
Text 24. य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयो भिजायते.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interactions of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Text 25. ध्यानेनात्मानि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे.
Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires.
Text 26. अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from other authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Text 27. यावत्स जायते किंचित् सत्वं स्थावरजङ्गमं क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञ संयोगात् तद्विद्वि भरतर्षभ.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
Text 28. समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरं विनश्यत्स्व विनश्यन्तं यः पश्यति स पश्यति.
One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees.
Text 29. समं पश्यन् हि सर्वत्र समवस्थितमीश्वरं नहि न स्त्यात्मनात्मानं ततो याति परां गतिम्.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
Text 30. प्रकृतेव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानं अकर्तारं स पश्यति.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, can see that the self does nothing, actually sees.
Text 31. यदा भूतपृथग्भावम् एकस्थमनुपश्यति तत् एव च विस्तारं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Text 32. अनादित्वान् निर्गुणत्वात् परमात्मा यमव्ययः शरीरस्थोऽपि कौन्तेय न करोति न लिप्यते.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
Text 33. यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म आदाकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मा नोपलिप्यते.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body.
Text 34. यथा प्रकाशयत्येकः कृत्स्नं लोकमिमं रविः क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं प्रकाशयति भारत.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity within the body illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
Text 35. क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ योरेवम् अंतरं ज्ञानचक्षुषा भूतप्रकृति मोक्षं च ये विदुर्यान्ति ते परम्.
Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for reciting, Shubhada Mataji and Hitesh Prabhu. That was very well done. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. So we will start. Sorry, 1 second. I just need to close some windows. Too many things open. Right. Okay. We'll start with we'll continue with our 13th chapter, verse 28. So today I have some slides that I will share. Okay. Please let me know that you can see the slides.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, right. So as Mukund Hari Prabhu was, he gives a nice chapter summary. So we are in the last part of this chapter, verses 27 to 35, which is Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge. So today's verse is verse number 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatsva avinashyantam yah pashyati sapashyati. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed actually sees. Would somebody like to read the purport? It is a small one. If nobody wants to, then I can do it. But if somebody's keen, please. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can do it.
There was somebody else before you, Jolie Mataji. I heard some voice.
Oh, was there? Okay.
Sorry, was it? Yes, who was this?
Seema.
Okay, yes, Seema Mataji, you can go ahead and read. Sorry,
Thank
Jolie Mataji, something else.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you.
Anyone who by good association can see three things combined together: the body, the proprietor of the body or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the super soul exists, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameshwara is sometimes translated as the individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is master. But there are others who interpret this Parameshwaram to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you, Seema Mataji. Before we continue, let me just recite the Mangala Charan prayers. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Okay, thank you very much. This verse actually is quite straightforward in a sense, where Krishna is explaining to Arjuna how the person. So let's actually look at the main points, because it's simple, straightforward, but one needs to realize it. So the main points that Prabhupada is talking about here is the three things combined together. Now we just read the purport. Does anybody remember what those three things were combined together? If anybody wants to call out. Sorry?
The body, the soul.
Yes. Yes.
And the third one was um,
The
super soul.
Friend of the
Super soul.
soul.
Yes. So it is
Super
the
soul.
body, yeah, the body, the proprietor of the body or the individual soul, which is the Kshetragna. And then the third one was the friend of the individual soul, the super soul, which is the second Kshetragna. I'm sure that all of you who have been following the 13th chapter will remember that in the previous verses, when we were discussing about Kshetra and Kshetragna, Krishna he explains that in every living entity, there are two Kshetragna, that is two knowers. One is the individual soul and one is the super soul. Now here, once we have understood this concept that there are two knowers, Kshetragna, and second is, the two Kshetragnas, one is the individual soul, the second is the super soul. What is being explained in this verse is that when a person understands all these three things and sees these three combined together, that is true knowledge. So what is true knowledge is to see every living being with equal vision, because every living being will have the body, the individual soul, and the super soul. If you notice that in the Bhagavad Gita and in other various scriptures, Krishna is teaching us the same tattva, the same principles in so many different ways. So in some previous chapters also, Krishna has spoken about this. I'm sure everybody knows the verse, so I'm not going to ask you, and I will just put it on the screen, which is this one. In the 5th chapter, 18th verse, Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Kavihastini Suni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So what is being said is that the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, will see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, elephant, dog, and dog eater. Now, in one of his morning walks, when Prabhupada was talking about both these verses, 13.28 and 5.18 to his disciples, one thing which he says is, we must understand this because sometimes we miss this point. So over here, Prabhupada says, and I will read it out because I don't want to say in my words. This is his words. He said, if you see materially either a dog or a big Brahmana, the body is composed of the same materials. When you dissect the body, you find some blood, some muscle, some bones. Therefore, Samadarshina. Not that the Brahmana and the dog are equal, but the outward and the inward is same. So Samadarshina does not mean that the dog and the Brahmana are equal. What it means here is so interesting that Prabhupada is clarifying this point, because there is, we keep talking about like there's one thing seeing with equal vision, and there is one thing understanding that they are the same yet not the same, because the physical body, the outward body, is made of the same material elements. And we've studied this. I'm not sure if we've done the 7th chapter, but we've studied this, that what is all this made of is bhumi, apo, nalovayu, which is earth, water, air, ether, mind, intelligence. All of these elements combined together. There's 24 elements combined, which makes, the whole creation and this whole material existence and the body also. So the external body is also made of all these elements, and the internal also is same because it is a soul which is eternal, which is part and parcel of Krishna, right? But there is, of course, there is a difference in what a Brahmana is and what a dog is. Obviously, that is talking about the subtle body, wherein comes the mind, intelligence, and the ego, right? But the point what is being made over here is that every living entity has the soul and the super soul. And when you are able to see that at the end of the day, at the end of life, when you when you come to the end of your this material existence, the body is not what will stay with you permanently, and that is being explained in this purport very clearly by Prabhupada, is that it is the soul and the eternal soul, which the soul and the super soul, which will continue to move on from one body to another, to another, to another, to the time where obviously you come to the stage where you are back with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, right? So let's just look at what we'll do is we look at some characters from our Shastras which actually highlight how personalities are able to have this vision, because it's easy to talk about this, like I'm talking about this, but is it easy to actually apply it? The moment I'll see, I don't know how many people are scared of spiders, but the moment I'll see a spider, at that moment, I'm not thinking about the soul and the super soul or anything of that sort. What I'm seeing is the external body, right? Now let's look at these personalities. Anybody knows who is this personality from the picture? No? Okay. So this is a story about Maharaj Shivi. So Maharaj Shivi was a very righteous king. In fact, in Vedic times, most of the kings that were there used to be like that. Not all, because we do know of some kings who only thought about themselves, but a king in those days would think of himself as the father of all the citizens in his kingdom. And thus he would have compassion for all the citizens of his kingdom. So once what happened was a pigeon came flying towards Maharaj Shivi, and the pigeon was very distressed. And he said to Maharaj Shivi, took shelter of Maharaj Shivi, and said that there is an eagle behind me who wants to kill me. So please, can you protect me? And at that time, Maharaj Shivi contemplated for some time, and he obviously thought that, it is my responsibility to look after all the citizens in my kingdom. And that makes the pigeon also a citizen of my kingdom, because what he is seeing is he is seeing beyond this external body. For him, it is a living entity, right? And so he says, do not worry, I will protect you. Which is fine. So then the eagle comes to him and he says, well, I am also your citizen. And by protecting the pigeon, you are making me go hungry. How will I survive if I don't eat, right? So at that time, Maharaj Shivi says that, he again thinks about it. And then he says, okay, I will give you flesh from my body equal in weight to the weight of the pigeon. And the eagle says, yeah, that's fair. I will get to eat, and that's good enough. And as you can see the weighing scale, he cuts off his flesh and he puts it on one side, and the other side the pigeon is there. And every time he keeps cutting flesh off from his body, he's just not able to outweigh the pigeon. But now that he has made a promise, eventually he himself sits on the weighing scale, right? And that is the time that he outweighs the pigeon. Of course, eventually it turns out that both the pigeon and eagles are demigods, and they have just come to test Maharaj Shivi. But the point here, what I'm trying to make is that he had the vision to see beyond just the external body. Okay, I'm going to share a couple more stories, because this verse is quite straightforward, but these stories will embed in our minds the how and what we should be seeing. Now, this is another story. I'm sure a lot of people will know. This is a story about Jad Bharat. I'll not go into the background of this entire, Jad Bharat, but Jad Bharat in his previous life was King Bharat. Right now, we are talking about this life where he is Jad Bharat, where he behaves like somebody who has no intelligence. who is dumb, who doesn't know anything. That is the way he externally portrays himself. So one time, King Rahuguna was passing by from where Jadabharat used to be, and seeing such a strong, well-built man, the palanquin carriers asked him to help them carry the Maharaja's palanquin, and Jadabharat did that. But constantly he was bouncing and jumping up and down. And so, as you can see, the palanquin would not stay straight, and that was disturbing the king. So eventually, like, Maharaj Rahuguna warned him once and twice, what is wrong with you? Don't you have enough strength? And can you not walk straight? Can you not carry the weight of the palanquin? And finally, he got off, and he was very angry with him. And at that time, Jadabharat talks to him and explains why he was doing that. The reason why Jadabharat was jumping was that there were some insects on the ground, and he was trying to avoid those insects because he did not want to kill them. So he was saving them, and that is the reason why he was jumping. I mean, that is not the only lesson. Jadabharat then preaches to Rahuguna, and Rahuguna becomes his disciple. But for us, it'll suffice to say that here also Jadabharat was able to see beyond the physical body of the living entity, right? And the last story that I'm going to share is about Mrigrari the hunter. Okay, so the story is that once Narad Muni was passing through this forest, and he saw a number of animals who were pierced with arrows, but they were not dead, they were half dead. And wounds actually hurt more than, once you're dead, you don't feel anything, right? So these animals, because they were hurt, they were reeling in pain, and Narad Muni was thinking, who is this person who is hurting the animals in this way? And he saw Mrigrari the hunter hiding behind a tree, and he went towards him. The hunter was very upset because seeing Narad Muni walking through these paths, all the animals ran away, and so he didn't have the opportunity to hunt and kill more animals. But because of seeing the persona of Narad Muni, he was not able to be rude with him. But he did say, that you have disturbed me, and why have you done this? What is it that you want? I have got, I've got skin of this animal, I can give you this, what is it that you want? And Narad Muni explained to him that I don't want anything, but I just want to ask you, why are you hurting the animals in this way? Why don't you just kill them? And the hunter explains that this is the way I have been taught, and I actually enjoy seeing the pain that I cause. And this is the way that I have been taught by my father. And then Narad Muni, being, the greatest preacher of all, preaches to him that how he is hurting these animals, and eventually, by the laws of karma, these animals will come back and will hurt him in the same way. And realizing that what he has been doing is wrong, he seeks shelter of Narad Muni, and he begs forgiveness and asks him how he can amend his ways. And then there is a long story that Narad Muni explains what he should be doing and whatever. But the second picture actually is showing how this hunter, who was so cold-hearted and actually confessed that he enjoyed seeing the pain that he was giving to all these people, completely changed, that when the next time Narad Muni visited the hunter with his friend Parvata Muni, the hunter was very happy to see him, and he came quickly towards his guru. But you will see that he is cleaning the floor with a cloth. So what he was doing actually is that, whatever ants and other living insects were there, he was trying to brush them off so that he could then pay his prostrated obeisances to his guru. So that that's what has happened, that over here, how this change has come about. Now, in the verse, the Sanskrit word that is used is, let me just get that out. So it says, vinayascha avinashyantam. Vinash means one that is perishable, one that will eventually perish, end. But avinashyantam is one that is not destroyed ever. So vinashyata is the body, and avinashyantam is the soul. And it is so important for us to understand this. We have come to the stage, hopefully by reading so much and hearing all these Gita classes, that we do understand that we are not this body and we are this soul. Sorry. But the point is that how do we get this knowledge of seeing everybody with equal vision? Now, in the verse itself, Prabhupada is telling us that only by, one of the statements that's made is very clearly, those who do not have such association are ignorant. So very clearly, Prabhupada is telling us that only by association, only by hearing, only by learning from great teachers who have realized, can we also get this vision that, you know, there is a soul, there is a super soul. Because if you think about it, a lot of times, especially, you know, youngsters or who are very well educated, sometimes when you talk to them about these things, they will say, can you show us? Like when you talk to them about, you know, there is a God, the question generally asked is, show me God. So when you say there is a soul and there is a super soul, then the point comes is, show me. You cannot see with your eyes. You can see with your ears. When you hear these things, when you listen to the acharyas, when you read the scriptures, that is the only time that you can see. So what you're doing is you are seeing with your ears. Now, this point, I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to share my own story. I never understood this, how we can see with our ears. So many years back, when I first went to Vrindavan on a yatra, I had been to Vrindavan before as a non-devotee. So when you go as a non-devotee, it's different. So when I first went to Vrindavan on a yatra, So when I went on a yatra, and I used to hear this phrase every time, that you cannot see Vrindavan, you have to hear. And the realization came to me once when we were it was like we had to, from the main city, we had to take a bus. It was quite far away, an hour, 2 hours drive by bus. And we reached, like, it was just an open field, a huge field, a small temple, and we all sat there. And then His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj was giving the class there. And that place was Bahula one. And then he started telling us the story about Bahula. I don't have the time to tell you that story, next time. But the point, what I'm trying to say is that when I just closed my eyes and I started listening to the story, at that time I could visualize the past time, and I could visualize what this place must have been when Krishna was present. So that is why they say that you cannot see with your eyes because you have material vision. You remember in the 11th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says to Krishna, can you show me your universal form? And Krishna says, I will have to give you special eyes. So those eyes are called, not the eyes that Arjuna is given, but the eyes that we are being given is Shastra Chakshu. So through the eyes of the Shastras, through hearing, we will be able to see all these things. Now, I'll also give you one more very simple example. And there are loads of examples that we can talk about, that how how this vision is important and how vision can be either informed or uninformed. Everybody knows the story of Hanumanji from the Ramayana. When Lakshmana was hurt and injured, and Hanumanji was requested to get the Sanjeevani booty from this particular mountain. I forget the name of the mountain, something from M. Mandara mountain, I'm not sure. So Hanumanji obviously had the capability and the strength to fly to this mountain, bring the booty back. But the point was that he did not know how a Sanjeevani booty looks like. He did not have the informed vision to identify from all of these, herbs and plants and trees that were growing on this mountain, which one is the booty that will cure Lakshman, right? And obviously then we know the story that he brings the entire mountain. But the point here is that same way, if we don't have this informed vision, then we will not be able to see, when we see somebody, we will not be able to see all three together, as in the body, the soul, and the super soul. And that is why it is so important to read the Shastras, to read the purpose by Prabhupada, and to understand this. Mahaprabhu explains that what purifies our heart and brings it back to the original natural condition of seeing the Lord everywhere and in everything is that we simply chant the holy name, right? But then the point is that the holy name has the power to awaken the divine consciousness if we chant it by faith, with this understanding. And you will realize as you progress, and you will see for yourself that when you listen to Krishna Katha, when you understand that this name is non-different to Krishna himself, when you hear more about Krishna's pastimes, that time your faith in chanting increases. So what is important is that you read, you share this knowledge, you understand these things. Because Prabhupada said that, I don't know where I have saved that, but I will, and this I'm not repeating verbatim, but Prabhupada said, he asked this question once to his disciples, why am I writing all these books? And so his disciples said that, because you want us to get this knowledge, and, so many various answers were given. Finally, Prabhupada said, so there were answers like the disciple says, you want us to get this knowledge, you want us to understand that we are not, the body, we are the soul, you want us to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Finally, Prabhupada gave the answer that I am writing all these books so that by reading all these books, you will get the faith in the holy name and the chanting of the holy name. And that is why also sharing of this knowledge, sharing these books is so very, very important, right? Anyways, before I come to that, just the last point where Prabhupada is saying that in either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. Yeah. There was this very, very famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of Prabhupada's most favorite verses, and he recites this very, very often. It is na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya. Ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The English of this obviously is that for the soul, there is neither birth nor death. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is eternal, unborn, ever existing, and he will not be slain when the body is slain. So again, the same thing is being repeated. This verse is verse 2.20. Prabhupada quotes this verse very often. So the soul is nothing can happen to the soul. You cannot cut it. It cannot get wet. It will not burn under a fire. The soul is eternal, and so is the super soul. So this was the main points from this particular verse. But now this leads on very nicely for us to where we were saying that we need to share this knowledge, read the books, so that we can come to the point where we are able to perform the yajna that has been asked of us to do in this Kali Yuga. I'm sure all of you have heard this, that in the Kali Yuga, there is no other yajna other than the Sankirtan yajna, other than chanting of the holy name, right? So I'm sure that all of you have heard this many times, that it is the December marathon where we go out and distribute books, to as many people as we find. In previous years, all of us, many of us would be out on the streets, knocking on doors, distributing the Bhagavad Gitas and other books by Srila Prabhupada. Unfortunately, we cannot do that, but it has led us to so many other avenues of how we can distribute books. And I understand from the messages that I have been saying that a lot of you have already joined the Sankirtan Forever group, where we are asking for, people to come forward to try and, talk to other people that they know, their friends, relatives, family members, and sponsor Bhagavad Gita so that we can start placing Bhagavad Gitas in so many places where people really, really need this. And it says here on the flyer that, of course, Shastra Dan is the ultimate charity. And we all, I'm sure we all agree that, especially after so many sessions of the Bhagavad Gita, and all of you attend every single day without fail. And that is because you have understood the importance of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So if I have got something, then it is my duty and responsibility to share it, to give it to other people. So if anybody from this group has not joined the Sankirtan Forever group, please do join it. I will share one small story from my own personal life, how I came to Krishna consciousness. There were different things that happened. Krishna works in very mysterious ways, but one of the main things that happened was, me and my family, we used to come to the temple every Thursday evening for darshan, and every Sunday in the afternoon for 12:30 Rajbhog Aarti. And the children were small. We used to go for their swimming lessons and straight from there come to the manor. And at that time, the drawing thing for us was that we'll attend the Aarti and then we'll have the lovely prasad, right? So this was during the winter, so the queue for the prasad was inside the temple room in the corridor. Maybe people who have been to the temple will remember there used to always be this huge queue in the winters inside, and it would get really crowded. And I remember I was standing in the queue and one of the brahmacharis approached me. He had this kind of, where he was making some notes or something. And he said to us, he said, we are starting this Bhagavad Gita course, where we teach about the Gita. Would you like to join? And it so happened that probably, I don't remember, but probably somebody must have gifted me the Bhagavad Gita when I used to go to the temple. And a few weeks back, I decided that I want to start reading. I have no idea why all this happened, but I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, and it, I couldn't understand it. I had many questions. Right from the introduction, as soon as I was reading the introduction by Prabhupada, I had so many questions. I had questions about, who is Mahaprabhu? Why did he take sannyas? Why did he leave his wife and mother, his responsibilities, all those questions. And I didn't have anybody to ask. And when this brahmachari approached me, immediately I thought to myself, oh my God, I don't believe this. Like I have questions, I'm looking for answers, and here it is. And I joined the course. This was in 2012, and I joined the course. So we did the Explore and then the Gita Life, and then of course we went on to do Bhakti Shastri and whatever. But it was during my studying of the Bhagavad Gita during the Gita Life course that not just me alone, me and Prabhuji did together. So for both of us, our lives changed from then on. So I can see the power that Prabhupada's purports have, because just by reading the shlokas, it doesn't, you're not, the change doesn't happen. When you read all the purports where Prabhupada is explaining everything so nicely to you, without you realizing, the change starts happening. Because, and I'm speaking firsthand experience, because I have changed. It changed me. I'm not saying that I've become a devotee, but what I'm saying is I have at least tried to give away some of my, lifestyle things which were incorrect. I've tried to do that at least. So I can see the strength in Prabhupada's book. So it is a humble request to all of you, those who have joined. Thank you so much for joining this effort. We need as many people to come forward. Prabhupada would be so happy to see what is happening, to distribute. He said that the name of Mahaprabhu should be spread. I mean, Mahaprabhu said that his name should be spread in each and every town and village. And we need to become instruments of this. So please do join. I will stop here. So I'm just going to mute everybody. Okay. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask questions. Anybody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Mataji.
Yes, Meena Mataji.
Is there a difference between super soul, Paramatma, and Bhagwan? Like,
so over here in this verse, if you see, the term Parameshwaram is used, or the thing is, sometimes these terms are used. Atma is the individual soul, Paramatma is the super soul, because Paramatma, the super soul, is present in each and every living entity. Atma, the individual soul, I don't know if you have, when we explain this thing about Ch13, like the field, your field, my consciousness will only know about my body. So my Atma is limited to my body. The Paramatma is there in each and every single body. So he knows what is happening to each and every living entity. So that is the difference. So super soul is Krishna, right? And I am the individual soul, but I am also part and parcel of Krishna. So I am equal in quality, but I'm not equal in quantity. Is that okay, Meena Mataji?
yeah, thank you.
Any other points or questions? I do have Luke Prabhuji who wants to share something with us, but I will put him on as soon as we are okay with this discussion and nobody has any questions or comments to make.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Joli Mataji.
Is it still question time?
Yes, you can ask questions.
I'm struggling to know how to gain shelter from Krishna and surrender unto him.
Yeah, go on.
And and actually, they say love Krishna. I don't know how to love him without knowing him. How do I get to know him more? It's something I've always been struggling with, and I want to know if there's a really good, beautiful secret or tips to help me to do it properly.
Okay. Joli Mataji, it's so funny that when I started my Krishna conscious journey, I remember that in our Bhakti Shastri class, we had this discussion because there were some people who believed that you can just love Krishna because, Krishna is Krishna and you love Krishna. But then there was one take, which was, how do I love somebody if I don't know somebody? You see? And I totally understand where you're coming from because, people who've grown up in India, almost everybody knows Krishna, has heard of Krishna. So it is not a completely new thing. But people from here have not heard. So how do you love somebody if you don't know that person? I get your point absolutely correctly, because we've had this discussion. So now the point is, how will you know Krishna? You will know Krishna by associating with those people who know Krishna. Simple, isn't it?
Yes.
You will know Krishna simply by associating with those people who know Krishna. Now, who are these people who know Krishna, right? So yes, we've got devotees, we've got all of this, and we've got Prabhupada's books.
Mm.
The person who knew Krishna so deeply is Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is sharing everything that he knows through his books. The more you start reading books, once Prabhupada was talking to his secretary, that was Ch13 Prabhu. Prabhupada was actually sitting in his room and reading the Krishna book. Okay? And he was relishing reading the Krishna book. And Ch13 Prabhu walked into the room and Prabhupada said to him, if you read one chapter of this book, you will know Krishna. And Ch13 Prabhu said, okay, he was, yeah, okay. Then Prabhupada goes on and he goes on and says, forget about one chapter. Even if you read one page of this book, you will know Krishna. So again, there is a nod and, yes, affirmation that, yes, that's right. Then Prabhupada goes on to say, forget one page. Even if you read one word of the Krishna book, you will know Krishna. See, now this is what Prabhupada is saying. We need to have that same faith in reading Prabhupada's book. We need to read with that same, the faith that what Prabhupada has said is the truth. And if I sincerely approach this, then I will understand. They say that, a lot of people want to study the Bhagavatam and understand the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is not just a book. Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. If you do not approach the Bhagavatam, if you do not approach the Bhagavad Gita, if you do not approach the Krishna book with sincerity and humility and asking, please reveal yourself to me, then they will not reveal themselves. Why should Krishna reveal himself to a person who is not sincere? But if there is sincerity, then yes, he will. And we must have patience. It will not happen overnight, but it will happen and you will start noticing it.
Mm.
You will start realizing that Krishna is, when I first started, I'm sharing my own examples because I think then, it's just people can relate to it. When I started and they were teaching the Bhagavad Gita and they were saying, that you can think of Krishna the full day. I was thinking, how does one think of Krishna full day? And they were giving examples like how a mother thinks of a child full day, like that. When you start thinking that this child actually is Krishna's child and this, you will not believe. When they used to speak all these things, I used to think it is all theoretical. It doesn't happen practically. But trust me, Joli Mataji, it does happen because you start practicing it. When you see the sunrise, you think of Krishna. When you drink water, you taste, because he says, I am the taste in water, rasoham apsu konteya. Things only will come with practice. They will not come overnight. You have to have patience. And Prabhupada has given us this approach. Chant your 16 rounds, follow the regulative principles, listen to Krishna Katha, associate with devotees, and it'll happen. I hope that slightly answers your question.
It's very good. I don't disbelieve. I do believe. I mean, a story that I carry with me is when Prabhupada was conversing with Krishna in his own way. Krishna complained to him that the devotee didn't wash his plate properly or something like that.
Yes,
So that's an intriguing story that helps me to focus a lot better. And I am hoping. I don't disbelieve. I think there is hope, and there are such beautiful. When I go have the association with the devotees, is wonderful, and I have that mood quite often, but then it disappears. And I suppose, as you say, you don't happen overnight.
Yeah, I think all of us, maybe I should speak for myself, not about, senior devotees who've been in the movement for years and years. I speak for myself. We all have our ups and downs. There are times when I feel, oh, I haven't done this or I haven't done enough. But, I have read, and I can't remember where and who said this, but I read that a devotee should never feel hopeless because Krishna is so loving that he is seeing the endeavor, he's seeing the efforts. There may be times that, we feel, we have different thoughts or we don't do things that we should probably do, but don't worry about all of that because Krishna is seeing the endeavor, Krishna is seeing the sincerity in your heart. And the best thing to do, which I apply in my own life, is I actually just go and pray to Krishna and I say to him that I am not able to do this and I'm not able to do it. So please help me. So
that is lovely. Thank you. I want to thank you for allowing us to be open and honest in this group. It's wonderful.
I think
Because
I am also able to, because we've become such a family that, see, I can share all my things with everybody also. And
yes,
I don't hold anything back. I'm sharing all my, stories and, whatever realizations or not realizations. So
yeah.
it's nice.
Because in the real world, you're told, oh, you're not meant to say that. You can't say that. But, if you feel it, it's good to be able to share and have some clarity. Otherwise, you go around thinking and have doubts all the time, which is sad, really. Yes, thank you so much. I feel you're so humble, and I'm feeling that I am becoming humble in that sense, which is lovely.
One thing that I realized very early on in my Krishna conscious journey was how different Krishna conscious people are to the material world. And I will share this also with you, that in the material world, we all want to go ahead of each other. So everybody is fighting to be one up. In Krishna consciousness, people are pushing us to go ahead. They want to, we all want to go together. We don't want to be alone. We want to hold hands and all go together and want to reach Krishna together. And that is the difference. And this was the aspect that I loved so much. And I thought to myself that, if people are so selfless and wanting me to move forward and go ahead, how can it be wrong? There can be nothing wrong in this. And that's what drew me to this.
Yes, I agree. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Sorry, any other comments or questions?
Wonderful class, Madhu Kumari.
Thank you, Parika Mataji. You're just very merciful always. Thank you.
You're so good. You're really, really good.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
beautiful explanation. It was so
Thank
nice.
you. Maybe what we could do is just ask Luke Prabhu to come on, and if there is further discussions, we can do it after Luke Prabhu has spoken. Luke Prabhu, are you around?
Hare Krishna Madhu Kumari Mataji. Yeah.
Do you want me to share the slide, Luke Prabhu?
I've got like a short presentation thing which I can do, I guess. So if we got yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
If I can screen share, I don't know if it will let me.
I could probably allow you to be the host for a bit. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let's do that then. Okay.
I've done that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Screen. Here we go. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to share a quick PowerPoint. It was basically just about a festival which is coming up at the end of this month. It's in France. It's at New Mayapur in France. I'm quite closely connected to this place. I was staying at the ashram here for about 3 months this year, and it was really, really wonderful just having the experience and there, associating with devotees. It was really, really amazing. So I just thought I'd share this with the Chad group to see what you guys thought if you wanted to attend. Yeah, it's basically the 45th anniversary of New Mayapur. They've been going on there for a really, really long time. It's headed by His Holiness Janandana Goswami Maharaj. He's really, really nice. Yeah, so the layout of it is on the 31st. They're going to be having like a 12-hour kirtan going on within the temple, and on the first they'll be doing book distribution marathon. So we'll be actually going out into Tours, which is the local town there, and distributing books. And on the 2nd, yeah, they've got the anniversary installation, and yeah, on the 3rd again, they've got a 12-hour kirtan. So it's a great opportunity to actually sort of be in an environment and associating with devotees, because I know a lot of us have been really like cooped up the last few months. So yeah, it'll be a great experience. I just clicked through some slides. So I've got a few pictures from some recent things. So there's Maharaj on the right, is doing an initiation ceremony there in the temple. Yeah, that's Krishna and Balaram deities that they've got there. And this was the recent Govardhan puja. So I'll show you those pictures. Yeah, and they've got a small Goshala there as well. So there's some of the cows and everything. There's a picture of the actual castle itself, and that's quite an old photo on the right, which I just found on the internet. Yeah, because Prabhupada used to live here, so that he's got his own room and everything there. You can see he spent quite a bit of time here. He's writing books and everything. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. So some things about it is obviously getting to France. So how it works is the most efficient way to do it would be if you fly to Paris, and then from Paris you get a train to Châteauroux, and then from Châteauroux you can either we could probably even arrange to get you a lift from Châteauroux to the castle, because it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere really, or there's a bus which goes from Châteauroux every day, which you can get to the site. I spoke to them about like what would be the situation with accommodation, and basically they've got a really nice guest house, which is fairly new. It's quite new guest house, which you are happy to stay in. I think they just asked for a small donation, so maybe something £10 or something for the night, which isn't much really. And yeah, you can stay as long as you want. But yeah, I just thought I'd share this with everyone. If you've got any questions as well, also if you wanted some I share it with this group. If you did want some cheaper flights, I could help you out if you want to fly from Heathrow, because I work for British Airways. So if you want some cheap flights, let me know, just WhatsApp me and I can help you out. I probably saw it for like £70-80 or something return from Heathrow. So yeah, just share that with you. If you've got any more questions, you can just WhatsApp me. Yeah, it'd be nice to see people there. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Luke Prabhu. That was really wonderful. There was a time when some of us from the temple, actually a volunteers group, was planning to visit New Mayapur. This was, I think, last year, but for some reason things didn't materialize. But yeah, but what with the COVID situation? Will that be okay traveling and that?
So yeah, I think traveling is fine. You obviously, once you go to France, you just have to come straight to the castle and everything. Okay. And then yeah, once you leave, I mean, it's not been a problem. They're quite, because it's in the middle of nowhere, they're quite liberal about the whole situation. So yeah, it's not too much of an issue. Yeah, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Luke Prabhu. Thank you all the devotees. I hope you take up Luke Prabhu's offer. He's also offered to help with cheap flights, so it'll be great. If there are any questions regarding our previous discussion on the Bhagavad Gita, please feel free. If not, then we can stop here. Anybody, any questions or anything?
Thank you, Mataji. Please read the comments. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Krishna.
Who is this? Who was speaking just now?
Oh, Nithai Mata, Devi Dasi.
Oh, Mataji, thank you for your comment. Thank you so much. I always say this, Vaishnavas are very kind.
No, Mataji, it's not being kind, it's being honest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you all. And please
Lovely class.
Thank you, Mataji.